So I thought it'd be a good idea to do a show where we could kind of each talk about our favorite color of the OG Nintendo Pocket or Game Boy Pocket. And then I went through the process to try and either have get photos for us to bring up during the show or a list. And The internet is not at complete consensus exactly on a list of all the colors or and pull all the images as much as I appreciate the viewers of Bog Panda. I just wasn't going to pull like 16 images down and cycle through them through there. So do a Google search if you want to really see it. But what we're going to do today, Mike and I are going to kind of go through the options that were available in different places, different countries sometimes of the Game Boy Pocket and eventually pick which is our favorite color. And so I did put in effort, and so we do have um, something to share. And get rid of that. Okay. So I at least got a list for us, pretty background, and then I put facsimiles of some of the different colors there. I wanted to do photos, but that seemed like so much work. Sorry, folks. And so, before we get started, did you already know before you even saw this comprehensive list what you were going to say? Because I think I knew what you were going to say, but
I mean, I have preferences. What would you guess would be my favorite?
um, we'll we'll get to it. It actually, well, okay, clear purple, translucent purple would have been my guess. There's been a consistency on that in the past on other devices, so that would have been my guess. Was I correct?
Kelly, I don't know whatever do you mean. By the way, here's my Game Boy Color.
Yeah, okay, good. Um, do you have an idea what my favorite one's going to be?
So that I don't know because we've already established. So if you guys don't listen to our daily podcast, Hard No, we give it to you daily. It's less than a minute. So suck it up and take it. But if you listen to Hard No, you would already know I was mistakenly under the impression that Kelly was a fan of different colored cartridge shells. And it turns out that's not true, which was problematic because I had
Yeah,
written
they're like
a
about 47.
extensive list of episodes based around this incorrect notion.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, and the my kind of you know disinterest in what the particular color of the cartridges does sort of translate, not quite as strong to the gaming handheld gaming system, but kind of close. So we'll see. But we'll just kind of cruise down through the list, kind of weigh in on some thoughts there, and of course, we appreciate if you folks would do the same in the comments. Let us know what your favorite Game Boy Pocket color was, rationale behind that. Educate us if we've guessed wrong on that. See if you can shake Mike out of his translucent purple punk that he's in. But so we'll just kind of cruise down through the list. Probably go pretty quick. Silver. How you feel about silver, Mike?
It doesn't feel that far off from the traditional Game Boy look to me.
Yep, I'm with you on that. It's not super exciting, but it does have that kind of nostalgic feel. Red.
I mean red is fine as a color, but I don't think I would want a red handheld unless it was the Marlboro branded Atari Lynx. That's the exception for me.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the Bog Boy is going to be red too. So that'd be
Yeah,
another.
so that makes sense.
That would be another one there. Good. Black, the Vader pocket.
I'm always a fan of black. I'm looking at FPGA Game Boys right now, and all black is high on my list. Of course, I want translucent purple, but I have an actual translucent purple Game Boy, so I feel like it might be redundant to go that way. So I'm kind of leaning on an all black one at this point.
Yeah, this actually would have been because I could call out my Vader pocket. I almost that's almost the only reason why because I'm somewhat jealous that Mike's got a working Vader Atari 2600. So this would at least level the playing field a little bit. So black would have actually been my choice there. But um clear. You like to see those components? I know you like partially be able to see them through a blue haze, purple haze rather. But what about if you just had an unobstructed view to the components of your pocket, as it were?
So I think it would have been fine. So there's a thing that I learned more recently, and I guess it makes sense, but it's one of those things that you wouldn't know unless, you had reason to. So when you're in prison, you're allowed to have electronics like TVs and, you know, small MP3 players and things like that, but they have to be clear so that you can't sneak anything inside of them, whether it's weapons or contraband or anything like that. So everything has to be completely clear. We were even looking into getting some of our music into the prison system at one point, and that's how we learned about, everything has to be clear. It has to be on media that's completely clear, things like that. So now it reminds me of prison. Not that I've been to prison, but that's what I think of when I see things that are completely see-through. I'm like, oh, that's the prison version of
So like when you look at a window, do you think
it.
of
Yeah,
prison?
like look at that prison.
Okay. Wow. Saran wrap? Prison?
Prison, food
Oh,
prison.
wow. Man, that's a bleak life you got going. Sorry about that. Green.
I mean, I like green. I mean, I know there's different shades of green here. So I don't know what you would call this, and I've seen different things. So if you're looking at that basic colors list behind you there,
Hmm.
in that nine Game Boy pile, the one that's dead center, what would you call that?
That's aqua.
Yeah,
No,
see,
and
I've seen people say it's teal. I've seen people say aqua. And I've heard seafoam is another one
seafoam.
I've
Yep,
heard
I'd
applied
say
to that.
that's. I would buy into seafoam.
Okay. That's one of my favorite colors, whatever that is. To a degree that I've bought a bunch of appliances that are that color. And it's at a point now where my wife knows if I'm in charge of buying something for the house, it's coming home in that color if that's an option, even if it's more money. I don't know why, but for household things, that's the color I want them to be. No, that doesn't match the color of my house, in case you were wondering. Not in any way. My walls are gray and blue. That doesn't match it at all. But I just like that color for like weird random household stuff. I have a bread maker that's that color, a mixer, a bunch of random little appliances and things. So I would get a Game Boy in that color, whatever that is.
So in Mike's windowless bunker house, to brighten the mood, so he doesn't think about prison, he just paints the interior with seafoam accessories. So that's another dark insight into Mike for the show. So we're learning a lot. Yeah, so let's just kind of knock it off. We'll jump on the list across here. So we had, green, extreme green, emerald green. So I'm assuming the extreme green was kind of it was a translucent-ish one that kind of looked like Mountain Dew. Seems like that would be good. Extreme green, emerald green, kind of straightforward on there. So so kind of standard Nintendo green coming out. I don't know. I always kind of thought those looked like the cheapest one. I don't know why. It just kind of read that way to me. The Mountain Dew color, okay, I could live with that. Then Emerald Green is just, a slightly upgraded version of the cheapo looking green for me. So, outside of your love of seafoam, any other thoughts on green?
Yeah, not too much. I mean, I like green as a color, but I'm actually with you, and I don't know where this comes from, but for some reason the green seems more like a toy to me.
Yeah, there's just something about it's not as cool. I'm not sure what it is. Sorry for you green fans out there. Yellow kind of makes a kind of a strange a second appearance here. So there's just kind of the standard yellow, and then also it was called the Swedish version, and I think only about 3,000 of them are made, but it was the front was blue and the back was yellow to match their flag, I guess. And so the two-tone one be kind of cool. I would be all right with that. Straight yellow, um, slightly more expensive than green, but not much for me in terms of looking at it.
Yeah, yellow on its own would be a pass for me. I just don't really have interest in yellow things. It's not a terrible color, but it would just be super low on my list. If I came across a Game Boy, like an OG Game Boy that was yellow, and it was a fraction of the cost of buying yet another Game Boy, sure, I would pick it up to have a backup. But that's what it would be, as a backup in case one of my clear purple ones fails in some way. Um, if it was blue and yellow two-tone, honestly, that would make me think of Capcom, the Capcom logo, and there was also the Mega Pocket that Evercade did that with the Capcom edition of that was blue and yellow.
Yeah. Um, so we've kind of started to talk about blue anyway. So we've got blue over in the basic colors, original colors, also an ice blue. And I think that's it. We've kind of already talked about the blue yellow one. So um, now I know from a cartridge perspective that royal blue speaks to you quite a bit. How about for a handheld gaming system?
I don't know if I would like it as much. I mean, I wouldn't pass up a blue Game Boy, but I wouldn't seek it out either. I love it for cartridges. I think it's a great color on a cartridge. 007 World Is Not Enough, I think, is probably the best looking cartridge. I don't know why that blue color really pops for me. Again, I wouldn't pass up a blue Game Boy, but I wouldn't seek that out either.
You know, and I think Donkey Kong 64 came in a yellow cartridge, if memory serves. And I'd have to agree, at least the 007 Royal Blue. Just if I were to pass the two without looking at the labels, I'd play the blue one first because it seems cooler, better. Pink available in Japan only. I'm not sure if this was officially a Hello Kitty variant, but it certainly is in the Hello Kitty family as a pink Game Boy. Um, I have no bones to pick with the color yet pink, but it would not be anywhere close to the top of my list.
Yeah, so in Game Boy Color, they had a color that they called Berry. That was the one that I had ordered a refurbished one. I ordered two refurbished Game Boy Colors off of Amazon. An atomic purple, my favorite naturally occurring color, and a berry one. Now, the berry one from our video, if you go back and watch it, I think it photographs a little more red, but it was really like a dark pink. So it wasn't this kind of lighter pink you're seeing here. I didn't mind the berry one. And the berry one was actually significantly cheaper no matter where you ordered it from. So obviously it wasn't a popular color. So if I could come across a pink one at a nice price, I would probably pick it up. Again, just like the blue, I don't think it's one I would seek out, but I wouldn't turn it away either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, since you mentioned Hello Kitty, Kelly, did you know that Hello Kitty is not a cat?
No. What is it?
Yeah, so that's a thing that I didn't know and have learned recently. Hello Kitty is a girl, not a cat.
Well, she seems to have feline-like features.
Right. Yeah, no. We're on the same page. There's a great video that I posted on Facebook or reposted that somebody had put up. I'll have to find it and send it to you, but it's just a guy ranting about this because this is a thing. And apparently a lot of people knew this, and I didn't. That Hello Kitty is not a cat. It's a girl. And it's just him ranting about how this media property is trying to gaslight the world because that is obviously a cat and not a girl.
Yeah, I would think. I don't know. I'm with him, I think. But- so we've covered translucent atomic Belinsky purple, and so quite a bit. And so the next time you're doing hard time, the screws aren't going to let you take your atomic purple in though. You're gonna have to get You're gonna have to get a clear one, huh?
It has to be totally clear.
Yeah, not nice. Right. We've kind of hit then a lot on the limited edition colors. We did, I think, when we were talking about blue, skip that there is a clear ice blue, which probably sounds pretty cool to me. As
Sounds
well.
up my alley. I don't know why, but that 90s everything's translucent plastic wave that came on us really clicked for me.
It's kind of cool to see, particularly for handheld devices, what's kind of underneath the covers a little bit. So it's kind of neat. Um, I don't have the unhealthy infatuation that you do with it, but I can still see how it's somewhat neat.
Even
Uh,
I don't know if you can see it in the video, but my Game Boy EverDrive cartridge is translucent black. And I had the option of just a regular one. I went with the translucent, which they call smoke.
which I think is the perfect name for a translucent black. I think it's pretty good. Or Los Angeles afternoon. Maybe his could be another one. I'm not sure. Um, Silver with a black border. Now, of the we talked about OG silver, I do think that the black border does add a nice little bit of contrast and actually ups the game of the silver. So if I had a choice between just the regular silver or a silver edition with a black border on it, I'm going with the black border.
Yeah, agreed. The silver on its own is just too close to me. It's too close to the gray of the original Game Boy.
Fair enough. Um, Gold, and a lot of people don't know this. This was actually made of gold. The Donkey Kong Land cartridge was a golden cartridge. No, it wasn't, but it's gold colored. Um, Kind of an interesting thing. Again, it's another one for me that one would think something that was gold, you would think, oh, this must be like a really special version. But plastic gold doesn't read strong to me. It's not quite the cheap, dirty green that when I see that and go, this is a
Get it away
welfare
from
game.
me.
Yeah, it's the great unwashed of green, but it's not a whole lot better, which actually surprises me because you would kind of think the gold would read a little higher end. Uh, but Donkey Kong Land on it, that I might at least if there's a pack in there, yeah, then maybe I'll think about it. Your thoughts on the gold cart or the gold handheld?
Gold makes me think of so before the NES, Nintendo made little LED handheld games, the Game and Watch games, and those had like a gold brushed look to the faceplates on those. So it kind of put me in mind of that. I do have in my growing collection of Nintendo 64 controllers, I do have a gold Nintendo 64 controller. And it does look pretty nice. It's not an original one because they did have one for the original system. It's one of the reproduction ones from Old School Gamer, but it's nice. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, on my original Nintendo 64 controllers, I still have a functioning gray, green, yellow. Those were all kind of, I think, almost original equipment. And then later a translucent purple one was purchased. Thought you'd be excited to hear that.
Oh, I have one of those as well, sir. I have two technically, because I have a translucent purple warrior one as well.
Yeah, we maybe have to have a side by side conversation on the Warrior 64 controller versus the classic one because Mike and I were talking offline about it, and as much as I mentally understand all the improvements that were made with the Warrior 64 Nintendo 64 controller, um, I still find myself drawn back to the original controller, but it may just be because that's where I've got hours and hours of experience. But that's another show. So we'll talk about that later. Last one, and this was interesting because this was to kind of harken back to the original Game Boy. So they did an off-white version, and there was a return of the purple buttons. Which, if you had asked me before, just to kind of go, what color were the buttons on the original Game Boy? I don't think I'd have said purple. But this one brings those back, and it seems like purple could have been used strategically on a few of these other ones, like on the silver, the clear. that they could have done pretty well. But um, purple buttons, kind of harkening back to the original one, that's a pretty cool combo for me.
Yeah, the purple buttons are cool. I mean, I like purple, obviously, when it comes to Game Boy stuff, so that's pretty cool. And speaking of harkening back to the original, I'm gonna have to take a picture and send it to you so you can drop it into this video. We're going through some old stuff, just clearing some stuff out and getting rid of some stuff. I came across, which I honestly did not have any idea I still had, my original Tetris cartridge for Game Boy. So I'm pretty excited to pop that in and see if it works.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and shoot me a photo, and we'll get it included in this video. And if you're not seeing it now, then Mike's not a man of his word. So, so there's that. Um, so this was probably some fascinating content for you folks. If you agree or don't agree, maybe consider subscribing to the Blog Panda YouTube channel. Hit that bell so that you know when there will be updates. Updates including, as Mike mentioned earlier, a daily podcast, the world's shortest podcast, Hard No. So that's available. You'll be able to see when all those come out, including we try and do a couple videos a week on retro gaming typically, but sometimes it's music or movies, or sometimes we take on issues of the day. So there's all that. Check out our merchandise store, which never takes on issues of the day, but there are t-shirts out there. So kind of do that. Anything else, sir?
The only thing I would throw out at you is just kind of a final parting thought. Just off the top of your head, don't put too much thought into it. A Slapdash Edition Game Boy. What color is that?
Green, because it's a cheap, dirty joke. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.